Come explore the magic of Disney, the adventures of Universal Studios, and cruise the high seas. This is Explore the Mouse.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
And here are your hosts, Eric and Casey.
Sometimes hello.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Explore the Mouse podcast. I'm Eric.
And I'm Casey.
And we are here to talk about some delicious treats today, bringing some food back into this podcast. And we are going to be talking today about our recent trip and our visit to the Boathouse at Disney Springs and Gideons.
Yeah. I think looking at it, we were trying to figure out, like, how do we even talk about Disney Springs in general food-wise? I mean, if you were a listener years ago, you know that food is like our thing. Food is my passion, if we could say. So we were trying to figure out, like, how do we fit in all of our favorite foods just from Disney Springs? And I think the best way is to kind of do two at a time. So these two kind of went hand in hand with our last trip that we went on. One of them was a little unexpected, and we'll talk about that. But yeah, so that's kind of how we landed on these two.
Yeah, and I think from kind of this point on with a lot of our episodes, we're just, we're going to kind of really pick a restaurant and just really dive into it, instead of kind of skimming over it like we have in the past. And because I think there's a lot of really intricate like details of a lot of these restaurants, especially when it comes to menu and just decor,
right, that
we're missing. So I think doing this would be fantastic. But before we do that, I wanted to kind of jump into just a little bit of a brief Disney news because there's a lot happening, especially with Disney Plus coming up. September 8th.
Day.
Huh?
Disney Plus Day.
Disney Plus Day,
yeah.
Yes. So September 8th is Disney Plus Day. Also coincides with the start of D23 as well. So a lot of huge news. Huh?
Said big things are happening.
It is. Yeah, I mean, huge things are happening. And one of the things with September 8th being Disney Plus Day is new releases. And for me, the most exciting release is Pinocchio. I am so pumped for the Pinocchio movie.
I agree. I think that it looks, the trailer and then the original like little short that they gave us both look incredible. And I don't know why this didn't go to theaters.
Yeah, we were talking about that the other day, and I don't get it.
I don't know. Maybe we'll watch it and be like, "Oh, okay, I understand why," or I don't know. But I'm really excited to see it.
I feel just from the last preview. So they did a teaser, and then they just did like
teaser
a full length one. Yeah, and they did a full length one recently, which showed you all the different characters from the movie. And I'm looking at it going, this would be amazing on the big screen.
I mean, they have a reason for everything. Obviously,
True.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I'm curious to watch it and see if we feel like, oh, okay, I understand why it came to Disney Plus, or if we're like, why?
On the other side of it, though, I'm happy it's coming to Disney Plus because now we can just watch it from the luxury of our own home.
I don't know, though. I love going to the theater. Like, I wish that you could have the option to do either. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
at least, well, I mean, I know they have to put it in the theaters for a while. They can't just release it for like 2 days,
right,
to make it worth the while. But I do kind of agree is that there's parts of this movie that I saw in the preview that would be incredible.
Yeah, like,
on a
I don't know. I
big
feel like
screen.
I would just love to like see it like in a theater setting. There's some movies that just do better in a theater, and I feel like this is so magical and mystical that I would like to see it in a theater. But again, we could watch it and I could totally be like, oh yeah, no, I understand why it just came straight to Disney Plus. But
yeah, so
I'm excited for that regardless.
I'm excited.
So
Pinocchio looks absolutely amazing. I'm super pumped for that. Also on September 8th for Disney Plus Day, they are releasing Thor, Love and Thunder.
Yes.
Which I
actually think that might be the only Marvel movie we've not seen in the theaters.
True, yeah. And I was just about to say, I have to admit,
Thor's my least favorite.
We did not see it in the theaters. I really wanted to. We just never made it.
I just don't like Thor. He's my least favorite.
And see the Thor.
But I will say his movies are like some of my favorites.
Absolutely.
He's just like, I can't stand him.
I'm interested to see it because like for me the pinnacle is Ragnarok.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be hard to beat that. So I'm interested to see it. I wish I saw it in the theaters, but just schedule wise
we've tried to stay away from a lot of spoilers. I have heard some things, and I've heard some mixed reviews in the sense that it's like there are parts that are not as funny as Thor has set us up to be in the past, especially with Ragnarok. But I don't know. So we've kind of stayed away from like really knowing what's going on, which has been really hard.
Yes.
Um,
Extremely hard, especially because I'm a huge spoiler.
yeah. Well, and when you're
Person.
on like all the Disney forums and blogs and like Reddit and stuff, it's like hard to not see a lot of stuff. But I would say I think we've done pretty good considering this is the only one we haven't seen in the theaters.
Yeah.
But I'm really, really excited for this one to come out.
Yeah.
For sure.
So there's just a lot happening. So just get ready for September 8th, Disney Plus Day. The sad part about Pinocchio is that I have to wait till I get home because I will be in Florida for Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party.
I'm so sorry. That's so sad for you.
I mean, well,
everybody feels really bad for you. Everybody feels so sad.
I mean, I'm not sad, but I do want to see Pinocchio, but I'm going to
watch
wait.
it without you.
Oh, okay. I was going to say I'll wait till I come home so we go watch it together, but okay, there we go.
No, you're literally going to. Eric yesterday was like, I think I'm going to go down really early and then I'll just spend the whole next day at Disney Springs. And I was like, okay, cool. And then you'll come home and then go on a 24-hour shift. Like, glad I booked this trip for you so you can be gone for the 48 hours that you're supposed to be home. I didn't think this through because now he's going to be gone essentially for 4 days straight. And that means I'm stuck for 4 days straight with a toddler who's terrorizing me. I didn't really think this through.
I will bring you back some treats.
I don't know how many treats you could bring back to make it worth it.
Right, well, I'll figure it out.
In case you guys didn't catch, I'm a little bitter that I booked it for him and not myself.
I am very appreciative, though, of this. I am really pumped to go to it, and I am really appreciative you booked this for me.
I'll consider waiting on
So, yeah. So, anyways.
on the movie. But
September
no
8th, a lot of awesome stuff coming out. So, if you are Disney Plus subscribers, you have a lot to look forward to. If you're not a Disney Plus subscriber, what are you waiting for? There's way too many perks for it. I mean, you get to see Pinocchio. And not even that, just even like right now, you can get perks at Disney for booking hotel rooms if you're a Disney Plus subscriber.
No, I know. So. Like I don't know. And I'm a cheap person, except for when it comes to food. But I'm a cheap person, and I will always justify a Disney Plus subscription.
100%. So, with that being said,
okay, yeah, off topic.
Yeah, off topic, but. Let's get back to the topic at hand, and that is the Boathouse at Disney Springs. Now, the Boathouse at Disney Springs, I just want to talk about how we kind of went there that one day. We were just walking around Disney Springs, kind of figuring out what to eat. And now, caveat is that we've eaten at, I would say, close to almost every place at Disney Springs.
I'd say we like 85% of the restaurants we've eaten at.
Correct.
Like, maybe you could say that's close to almost all.
I would say close to all because, I mean, if you really look at it, I mean, outside of like Terralina and a couple other places, I mean, we've eaten in most of them. I'm personally like not like into like the T-Rex type restaurant or anything like that. So like for me, like I don't want to eat there.
I try every time to get Eric to just go get an appetizer platter at Rainforest Cafe because I think Carlo would love it. I'm pretty sure anybody that's listening that has like a 3 or 4-year-old would totally agree. It's fun. And just an appetizer platter is like $20. I'm like, we could just go and do an appetizer. Anyways, I digress.
Hey.
Okay, so I'll give you a little backstory. We went to Typhoon Lagoon that morning. It was beautiful, not overly hot, cool. We go back to the hotel, get changed, go to Disney Springs, and it is hot as hell. Oh my God.
Really hot.
Okay, and at this point, I'm like 20 weeks pregnant or something. It is so hot. I'm like dying walking around. And at one point, Eric went into the Star Wars.
The VR experience?
The VR experience, which was only supposed to be 10 minutes. An hour and a half later, he comes out. I've been sitting outside the whole time with Harlow. All of our M&Ms from the chocolate blaze are melted. And he looks at me and he's like, you don't look good. I was like about to pass out from heat exhaustion. I mean, it was just a lot. And I hadn't been hydrating enough. We had been at the pool earlier that morning, etc. So I said, like, we need to pick somewhere to eat, like, now, that has a reservation now, because we hadn't made any reservations. So Eric just started looking around to see where we could get a table. And, of course, everything on the app was, like, an hour or so out. So he ran to Starbucks to go get me a cup of water, and it's not far from Starbucks. So he said, let me just go run in and see if there's, like, a table that we could get. Do you care where we eat? And I was like, I really don't care. I just need to go sit down and, like, have air conditioning. So he ran into Boathouse. And I think they were like, it was like close to 6 o'clock.
It was getting closer to 6 o'clock. And so I talked to the person at the host desk. And I said, is there any chance there's any reservations? Because some people don't know this either, is that some of the restaurants at Disney Springs, you can book outside of the Disney Springs or the Disney app as
Right.
well, because you can do like open table. So I asked if there's any seating, and she looked at me and was like, "No,
No.
no, there's not." And I think it was like 5:30, and she said to me, she's like, "But if you want to, here's a tip for you." She's like, "If you want to sit on our back boat dock area," she's like, "get here at 6 o'clock, and there's a seating area that opens up at 6, and once the rope, like we take the rope away, you can just go seat
It's-
yourself."
yeah,
and I was
first
like,
come, first
"Oh,
serve.
okay."
And there's an outdoor bar. So
And
she
there's
was
an
like,
outdoor
you
bar.
can stand at the outdoor bar for 15 minutes and then.
So we went, so we did that. I went back, I got you. I said, "Hey, let's head back over there," because we got like maybe 30 minutes or whatever. And we headed back over there, and that's what we did. And I dubbed it Rope Drop the Dock.
Mhm.
And because it really was.
There's literally a rope.
There's
that we
literally a
drop.
rope, and you stand at the rope, and you wait for the servers to remove the rope,
Yeah.
and then this dock opens up. And I would probably say there was maybe 40 tables, maybe?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm really
There
bad
was a
with it.
lot.
Yeah,
And
there
so
were.
if
there were a
you've
lot
ever
of
been to the
tables.
boathouse and you go on the back side of it on the actual water, there's like a little area where there's like vintage boats that are parked.
Mhm.
And
You
it
can eat
looks
in
like
them.
it's not a place to go eat, but there's tables set up in there. And they pop the umbrellas up, and there's a lot of tables, and you just go in and seat yourself, and it's the full menu,
Yeah.
which was
yeah.
incredible. So we were able to skip everything, get no reservation, no nothing, walk in at 6 o'clock, and get served.
We were the first people, so they let us pick whichever table we want. So we got the cute, like, little corner of the dock. Also because, like, part of the dock has, like, a netting that they can remove because you can eat in some of those vintage cars. Like,
Mhm.
they're set up like tables.
Which is cool.
They kind of remind me of, like, the sci-fi diner, the cars that you can sit
Yeah.
in. Like, they're kind of that concept. But so that some of it has, like, netting, and then some of it is, like, an actual dock gate. So we kind of sat in a corner where we could avoid Harlow, like, trying to jump in the water. Because it's the lagoon. Like, it's
Oh, yeah.
the huge lagoon. Anyways, so, yeah, we got down there, ordered a drink at the bar. I got a mocktail. We stood there and waited, and then they just sat us. I think they sat us a couple minutes early because it was, like, hot. They knew we were just standing around, and they were like, "We're ready. You guys
Yeah.
can come in." So, yeah, we picked our table, and it was a wonderful experience.
I really wish we knew our like the servers' names, because everyone there was incredible from the very
I feel like I
beginning.
had to have written it down somewhere because she was so wonderful. I made a review on her. I wonder if I can go. I don't think I can go, like, back to the My
Yeah, I'm
Disney
not
app
sure.
and see who I reviewed.
But even the person at the host desk, though, just
Yeah.
how incredibly nice they were to to be like, "Hey, no, there's no reservations, but hey, here's a tip." Like, because a lot of people don't know about it. I've talked to several people that are big Disney like goers. No one knew about this. So it's like their kind of own like personal like tip,
Yeah.
So we're passing that tip on to you, and hopefully if you go there, because actually I just did this recently on Facebook. Some lady on Facebook was asking in a group about Boathouse, about how to get reservations because it's so hard. So I gave her this tip, and she's like, "Oh my God, that's awesome." And then she wrote back later on that they did it, and she said that was the most incredible experience ever.
Oh,
So
cool.
it was,
Yeah,
they
it was
were
like
able,
an even better dining experience.
yeah,
I mean, view wise.
the views are gorgeous.
It
You're
was
literally
really cool.
over the water.
And we had a nice breeze because
Oh
that
my
was the
God.
one thing I was like, "Ugh, we're going to sit outside. Like, I'm already so hot." But we had a great breeze.
Yeah.
Because we're sitting right on the water.
So let's talk about what Boathouse is, because
Yeah.
we've talked about this and that. So the Boathouse is a American seafood steakhouse, kind of resembled after an American coastal type of dining.
Yeah.
And they really do, like, really capture that in the Boathouse. I mean, everything from their vintage wooden boats. You feel like I've never been there. You may have, because I know you're from that area, but like Martha's Vineyard type of thing, or up in that area.
Yeah, I can
I would
see where you're
almost
going
kind of
with that.
see it as like that northeastern.
It is a very northeastern,
like
yachty type
really,
vibe.
yeah, like a
Yeah.
yachty feel.
Yeah.
With
Everything with, like, the nautical flags, everything spelled out in nautical flags. And yeah, it's a very, like, yachty nautical.
and it is just,
Everything's the dark wood, super glossy
It's-
dark wood.
yeah. And it's gorgeous. Like
Yeah.
everything from like the decor, and I think that's what, for me, when we first walked in there, kind of captured it. Was like the decor of it. They have a really beautiful like speedboat that's a wooden speedboat in the inside, which actually dubbed as a table, I found out.
Yes.
Which was really neat.
Yeah.
I thought it was just decor. No, it was an actual table. And then, yeah, like you said, like the wooden walls, the wooden floors, it was glossy.
Yeah.
Very
There's like a
nautical
raw
themed.
oyster raw bar up in the front too
That
that you can
looked-
sit at, which I always just appreciate the like look of a fun raw bar.
Which, by the way, I think that was actually one of, I think, a great selling point for them was that raw bar, because they have these huge like sliding doors that open,
Mhm.
almost kind of look like a boathouse, like
Yeah.
you would drive a boat in. And they had a raw bar there that had all of their fresh like oysters and clams and mussels and everything like that.
Yeah.
Literally right facing out towards Disney Springs, so it kind of drew you in if you're a seafood lover, which we are.
We've said in the past, like, oh, if we come back with my parents or with someone, we'll just have a date night and we'll come and sit at the raw bar together. But we've never done that.
No.
And again, this was like a fluke that we ended up here for dinner, and I'm so glad. I'm so glad that we did.
It's now like in our, honestly, it's in, well, at least mine. I'm not going to speak for you, but it is probably in my top 5 restaurants now at Disney that I would easily go back to.
Yeah.
I love the Boathouse. The food was fantastic.
The service was phenomenal.
service
too. I mean,
was
we love. I mean, I would say you always have better service than not in Disney Springs or in Disney on property in general.
Yep.
But and you'll find out a little bit later. We became friends with everybody at the restaurant essentially, all thanks to our toddler. But the service was incredible. I mean, and I think. Like from the get, our server realized that I was very hot and pregnant. I was having like Braxton Hicks contractions, which are those false labor contractions, because I was so early at that point. But I was really, really uncomfortable, and she like made sure she had someone come refill my water every like 5 seconds, which was so nice.
Oh, she was on point.
So attentive and just wonderful with Harlow. The couple next to us, actually, I meant to mention this when you were talking about Rope Drop the Dock. The couple next to us, remember, they said they eat at Boathouse every single time that they're there, and they had never eaten outside before.
Nope.
And it was the same. They had gotten in early that night, and they were like, oh, let's go to the Boathouse. Ugh, no reservations. They ended up sitting right next to us. We had a great conversation, and they were like friends with all the staff.
And this is their number one restaurant.
Every single time.
Yeah, they were DVC owners at Saratoga Springs.
Yeah.
And they said this is their go-to every time they come stay there, is they have to go to the Boathouse at least once. They even
I was going to say, they said like
twice.
multiple times a week. Yeah.
Yeah, they said they're there
Because
like
they were
a
like,
couple
do you
times a
guys
visit.
like any other places around here? Should we try any other restaurants? And we were like, yeah, I would definitely recommend that you put some others on your list. But
they were great, and I mean that just shows how good the food is. And the funny thing about them, before I know it's not about the people, but the couple that was sitting next to us, they order the same exact thing every single time.
Yeah, they did.
They said they do not deviate from their normal menu. They get the same exact thing.
Well, he was part of the reason that I ordered what I ordered. But I'll get to that in a minute.
Anyways.
But they also were the ones that told us that inside you get served these rolls, these like yeast rolls or something.
That's right.
And on the dock, you don't. That's not typical. In the restaurant, it comes just to your table as your like appetizer or whatever, or your bread service. Yeah. They don't do that on the dock, but if you ask, they will bring it to you.
I forgot.
So
about
they were
yeast.
the ones that were like, "Oh, you have to ask for these."
And
rolls.
the yeast rolls were,
yeah.
like,
But I wouldn't have known that. So if you do rope drop the dock and you eat on the dock, ask for the rolls that are typically inside.
100%. All right, so let's talk about some of the stuff that we, like you want to get out of the way, price points, stuff like that, and then we'll talk about what we ate. So this is a fine signature dining restaurant, which means that their price point's going to be about a 2 to 3 star or dollar sign. On their website, or on the website for it, they put their price range at about $15 to $34.99. Now that's not including drinks. Your entrees are going to be in the $30 ranges. $15 is going to be more for your like sandwich options and stuff like that. So you're in reality with drinks, you're looking at, I would probably say closer to 50 something a person. If you're having a couple drinks with your dinner.
Now, that being said, I do think you could, if you wanted to just do like a happy hour or like appetizers, because we've done that before, not here, but like we will go somewhere and just each have a beer and then split 1 or 2 appetizers. I do think you can do that, obviously, for much less. Like the tuna poke was like $20.
Oh, yeah.
So you could split that and have some yeast rolls, have a beer each, and you're out for $40.
100%.
So if you wanted to do that and just experience sitting on the dock, sit there from 6 to 7 and then go somewhere else. I definitely think that that's worth mentioning, that you're not required to like invest in this fine dining experience.
And they have a lot of really good small plates that you can definitely share with some people. So, which again, we're getting in the menu in just 2 seconds. But reservations are strongly recommended if you don't do the dock part of it, because if you're trying to get a reservation there, good luck. Boathouse fills up super quick. It's one of the, I would almost kind of put it like on the level of like an Ohana type thing, like in the sense is that if you're trying to get a reservation at Boathouse and you're not doing it 60 days out, you're probably not going to get one. This is why the boat dock, like the rope drop the dock, is a good tip.
I do think I do see it every once in a while in the mornings, like if I'm checking the day of where we know we're going to be down at like Disney Springs or something.
Yeah.
In the mornings, some will come available because I think people cancel the night before, like, ugh, we don't want to go do that or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, in your original dining plans, I would for sure book the 60 days out, or just know that you're going to rope drop the dock. And I forgot to mention when we went, it was a Saturday at 6, and we were first in line for the dock.
Yeah.
So, which is pretty impressive.
Huge. Saturday, and basically getting seated right away at 6:00 for a prime place. That's I mean, it's unheard of.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's talk about the menu.
Yeah.
Like now that we've talked about the service, let's talk about the menu, because their menu is, and Casey knows this about me. Some people don't, but like I find American food very boring. You know, and I just say that in the sense is that like for me, I love flavors. Like I like ethnic
I'm rolling
food.
my eyes so hard. I like flavors.
But like this place literally had. I don't even know how to describe it. They had the food, like everything that was inside of a dish was so good that it blew me away. Like I would honestly eat here if we lived close. I would probably eat here once a week. Like if we lived close, we'd probably be broke, but we would live.
1 year for Christmas, I would totally eat Christmas dinner here.
Oh yes,
I think that would be a really fun place to eat Christmas dinner.
Oh,
Sorry, I'm just making a mental note. Let's put that down.
Oh, I 100% agree on that. It's so good. So
yeah, no, the food was incredible. And actually, I thought, because I ordered steak, I'll tell you guys that now. And I did not go in with the intentions of ordering a steak, but Eric can kind of share a little bit about the steakhouse aspect of it.
Yeah.
But I ordered a steak, and I think mine was $39.
Something like
I think that was underpriced for what I was served.
Yeah.
It was a huge cut of meat. I got it topped with, can I talk about what I ordered? Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got mine topped with the roasted garlic and the blue cheese butter, and then I got a baked potato instead of the French fries. So I got the New York strip and fries, but instead of the French fries, I did a baked potato, and she loaded it up with that roasted garlic butter.
And let me tell you, that roasted garlic butter is heavenly.
So good.
Mixed with the blue cheese.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
I makes my mouth water thinking about it. But the steak in general, we've been to a lot of nice steakhouses where I would have paid $75 or more for that. So I thought $40 was actually on the low end.
So let me talk about the steaks real quick, because I did not know this going into it,
right? And
until our server told me. But Boathouse is actually a Gibson Steakhouse owned restaurant. Which, if you're not familiar with Gibson's is a Chicago-based steakhouse, but they're famous around the country as well for their steaks. They are incredible steaks. So as soon as she told me that it was a Gibson Steakhouse owned, I knew the food was going to be good, because I've eaten at it in Chicago, being from there, and their steaks are great.
I went in with the intention that I was getting seafood, because we were at a place called the Boathouse,
and their seafood
and we were
selection
sitting on the water, and their seafood.
Well.
I mean, we walked past the raw tuna. It looked incredible, but as soon as she said it was a Gibson Steakhouse, and Eric explained what that meant, I was like, I'm getting a steak. And the guy next to us was like, "Get the steak. I always get the steak."
Oh, and it didn't disappoint. I just had a bite of it. You gave me like kind of like the ultimate bite with like a piece of steak, the blue cheese, and the roasted garlic. Oh, and it honestly, it was heavenly. It was just so the steak melted in your mouth, and their steaks are all dry aged, depending on like kind of how long. Like their boneless ribeye is a 75-day aged, which is incredible. If you're into dry aged, that is fantastic. But all of their steaks are somewhat dry aged.
I think their most expensive. Here, I'm looking on the menu right now. Their most expensive steak was $58.
Yeah, and that's the porterhouse.
And then you can get your enhancements. I think you can get a lobster tail, you can get a cream sauce, you can get the roasted garlic, blah blah blah. So you're looking $60-$65 for your most expensive piece
Yeah.
of steak, which, considering we've been to some steakhouses where we've paid $150 for 4 ounces,
Yeah.
I think it's underpriced for how good the quality was.
Well, and see,
I'd be happy to go back and test it again for
Yeah.
you guys.
we definitely will be back. 'Cause that, like I said, it's in my top 5 for myself at least.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Now, the one thing about your steak that is I guess maybe you can call it a tip or trick, is that you had a New York steak, which
Yeah.
is a smaller cut of their New York strip that they have.
Right.
Yours actually came with fries, where the other ones are a la carte.
Right.
So their other steaks, they're a la carte. You buy. So let's say the boneless ribeye is $45. You now have to go and order your sides as well.
Which I still think would be worth it, though.
It is worth it.
I
But
mean,
the cool thing about the New York steak that you had with the fries is that you were able to substitute the fries for no extra charge.
right.
So you were able to get a steak plus one of the sides.
And it also
for-
came with the roasted garlic butter, which is a
Mhm.
$2.50 upcharge
So
for any of
for
the other steaks.
$36,
And it's the cheapest. Yeah, the New York and fries is the cheapest steak on the menu. And I literally just got it because I had been so sick previously. I wasn't feeling great from the hour before. And so I was like, I don't want to get a huge porterhouse and then not finish it. So I'd rather I'm just going to get the smaller one. And I was like, Harlow will finish it if I don't, because she's a steak stop. So.
and it was a good side, or a good size steak. And if you want to see what it looks like, head to our Instagram account, Explore the Mouse. I do have a reel on there that I did of it. I have it pinned to the top so you could easily find it.
Oh, perfect.
And in there is pictures of our food, so you can see what it was. And it's a good size steak. It wasn't tiny at all.
No.
I'd probably say it was at least an 8-ounce steak,
I would say 8 ounces.
something like that. So it was really good. Pretty
So
decent
steak,
size.
definitely recommend, even if you don't go in with the intention thinking that it's going to be a steakhouse, or if you have someone in your party and that's like, I don't want seafood, let them know. There's it's a big steak menu, and lots of other options. But okay, so enough about what I had. Eric, what did you have?
So we're real quick. It's not on their menu, which we think it was a special that day.
It had to have been a
It
special.
was recommended by our server, but we had these really delicious clams that were braised in white wine and like garlic and stuff. And she recommended them for an appetizer, but when I went back and looked on the menu, or we did, I can't find it on the menu.
I think they were
so
a
it had to be a special that day. But it was insanely good recommendation. So if you're there and they have like an appetizer of white wine braised clams,
or like mussels. I mean,
or
they were
mussels or
basically
anything.
like mussels. They were,
which they do have that on the menu as well.
Yeah, so-
but which I'm going to go over. But let me talk about what I had first, because if I've ever talked about it before, and Casey knows this, it's their biggest like pet peeve when we go out to eat. I am so like indecisive when it comes to a menu. It takes forever for me to figure out what I want to eat because I have everything looks good. But
he's also that person that studies them. Like, I mean, you didn't get a chance this time because we didn't know we were going, but normally he's the person that studies the menu for 3 days before we go. And it still takes him 40 minutes to pick what he wants. Like, you know, when the server comes and like, oh, do you need 2 minutes or whatever? Eric says like, oh, just 2 more minutes, like 4 times. It drives me nuts.
And then when they finally do order, I'm like, all right, start over there and come back to me.
Oh my God.
So, anyways,
now you're just making me annoyed.
I would say that I pretty much had what I wanted figured out. I was going between seafood or steak.
Yeah.
I knew, and then I was like, I wanted to come for seafood. That was my original thing. You were getting the steak, so I was like, you know what, let's do it. And the coriander seared yellowfin tuna, I'm a sucker for tuna. Mm-hmm. We both are.
Yeah.
And the coriander seared tuna was incredible. It stood out to me.
So perfectly seared.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It was, so the coriander, they basically took the seeds and they made like a crust, like a powder out of it. And then they crusted it in that, seared it perfectly where it was just a small line of cooked fish. And then the rest of it was perfectly cold, raw tuna.
Yeah.
Wow.
It cut like butter.
It did. Literally, it melted in your mouth. And the reason I went with this is just, I love tuna, but it also came with blistered shishito peppers, which is probably one of my favorite side dishes for anything. It's just awesome. And then it came with the soy lime vinaigrette, wasabi mayo, and then sriracha. So it had all these really, really different levels of flavor. You had your salty, your sweet, your hot, your sour. Mm-hmm. It had everything. And at first I was like, this is not good. Like $36 and I don't even get a starch or anything. I in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to be hungry later. No, it's a big piece of tuna.
It was big. Yeah, it was big. It was a platter. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a platter.
It was a big piece of tuna, and like when we got done with it, I was satisfied. I literally sat there going, "Okay, I was wrong." Like it was incredible, and it was $36 for it, which I for that I was happy with. Initially, I will be honest, I looked at the price of $36 for the tuna, and I was like, ugh. But I know what the price of tuna is, and it was more for me. I wanted to make sure like the grade of it was going to be, and I shouldn't have doubted them.
We literally walked past it.
I
Like
know.
we walked into the restaurant, and it was like the most beautiful red tuna.
It was
like,
but it was worth it.
Yeah.
I think it was perfection on a plate for me.
Mm-hmm.
Flavor wise, like size wise, it was the perfect size. I loved it, and I think going there for the seafood is what they're known for, including their raw bar. And I wanted to talk about this because we did mention it as kind of a highlight as when you walk in. And so the raw bar has a bunch of different things up there, including oysters on the half shell, yellowfin tuna poke, which we almost did get.
Yeah, we were gonna get that.
And I think
an
that's what led me to get my dinner is that we didn't get it, and I really wanted tuna.
Yeah.
And these raw bars, it's not just you just get tuna and that's it. Like the yellowfin tuna poke comes with avocado, mango, soy lime vinaigrette. That was on my plate. The oysters come with a London dry gin cocktail sauce and cucumber mignonette, which is like a really delicious kind of like a frozen like sauce type thing, like garlicky and white wine, lemony. It's really good. But they have theirs. They make it with cucumber juice. They also have, which these looked insane, is wild caught Sea of Cortez shrimp.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
They were massive.
Yeah.
Now to show you how massive they are, their price is $4.25 per shrimp.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you want to go to the raw bar and just get one of them, you could just try one for $4.25, and it seems like a lot for shrimp. But these things, I'm not kidding. If you put them in like, I mean, I have a pretty big hand. You put them in my hand, they would go from like tip of finger to like the bottom of my palm.
Yeah.
They were massive.
That's the fun thing about a raw bar. It's a fun like place just to go sit, have a drink, and you can just have, you can have 2 oysters. You can literally order 2 oysters and then 1 piece of shrimp. And then if you're sitting there long enough, you can decide, you know what, I'd like to add some poke or whatever. Like that's the fun thing about a raw bar is,
oh yeah,
it's totally up to you. You can like do it. It's a la carte. You can just do it however you want.
That was a good point, by the way, is that yes, the like oysters and shrimp and all that is basically per piece. So
yeah.
The tuna poke is its own separate price because you get a bunch of it. But yeah, the raw bar, everything is per. So if you just want to sample everything in there, just get one of each and go for it.
Yeah.
It's a really cool place to sit, especially like I said, if you don't have, I wouldn't sit there with a kid to be honest with you, but if you're there on a date night or solo or whatever,
yeah,
great place to just sit and just try a couple things.
Yeah.
If seafood's not your thing, they do have salads as well. We did not get any of the salads, but they have your typical wedge, Caesar, chopped, garden salad.
They also have steak. So,
yeah. And then
there's definitely something for everybody in the family.
Oh, 100%.
There's something for your sister-in-law who doesn't like seafood and only eats chicken. There's something for the kids. The kids menu was great.
Oh yeah, it was a great kids menu.
Harlow got popcorn shrimp for like $10, and it was a ton of popcorn shrimp.
Yeah, they had like mac and cheese.
And we were both surprised she didn't order steak, but they didn't have a steak on the kids menu.
No.
They only had a burger, and she doesn't eat a burger. She'll just eat steak.
Yeah.
So honestly, my wallet was kind of glad that they didn't have steak on the menu for kids. But they have a kids menu which has like chicken and mac and cheese and popcorn shrimp. So there's something for all the kids there. Like I said, there's something for someone in your family who only eats chicken. There's something who's a vegetarian. It's a big menu, and they have an offering for everybody.
Oh, they totally do. They have, like I said, if you're not a seafood person, I would say though, if you have an allergy to seafood, especially like shellfish, where you like,
I think you just know not to go to.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, yeah.
I think that's just like if you're an adult living with a shellfish allergy, first of all, I'm very sorry.
Yeah.
And second of all, I think that's just an understood. Your party just does not go here.
The one thing I do like about this restaurant too is that all of their food outside of the Sea of Cortez shrimp, all of their food is locally sourced in the country. So you're getting lobsters from Maine, you're getting salmon from Alaska, you're getting red grouper from Gulf of Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
So you're getting like not local to Florida, but local, like you're getting things from the States,
Mm-hmm.
and they're getting things flown in like daily.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is not like they're coming in frozen. No, they're coming in, food's coming in fresh
Every day. Yeah.
every day, and you're getting it boat to restaurant to plate.
Yeah.
No frozen in between. It's like, it's insane. One of the things that did stand out to me, and this is kind of one of their unique things, is they had, I almost got this, I thought about it, was their shrimp and andouille mac and cheese. I really, like, I didn't want to eat heavy because it was so hot outside. That's why I went with what I got. But I originally almost went with their shrimp and andouille mac and cheese just because it sounded so good and different.
You can put it on your list. We'll probably go in January. You can put it on your list.
It's not a summer, not a summer dish at all. But they do have a bunch of different pastas as well. They do some vegetarian options, roasted chicken if you don't do steak or seafood. And then like they have a bunch of different like sides. Like I said, you can they call it the launch, and that's things you can share with everyone. And there's a huge menu that you can do that kind of.
Yeah, there was a table at like on the dock port that we were sitting on that just did a whole bunch of those. Remember, they just had like a whole bunch of. Basically, if you went to a tapas restaurant, they just ordered a bunch of sides.
Yeah.
And shared all of those.
Yeah, and they were doing exactly what we talked about. They were just having some drinks and had having a bunch of everything like that. So
yeah,
I would highly recommend this place 100%.
Yeah, we'll be returning.
Yeah, we'll definitely be returning, and I'll probably next time I think I'm gonna do like a full video for YouTube on it because it is such a good place.
Yeah.
They have a great dessert menu as well. I'm going to do a caveat here. We did not try any of it because we really wanted to go over
we need a taste for something else.
Yes, which is where we're going to go to here for a second, and that's Gideons.
Yeah.
We wanted some of the dessert items from Boathouse, but we had our heart sets on going over to Gideons.
Yeah.
And if you guys have never been to Gideons Bakehouse, you need to rush down to Florida because it's the only place you can get it. They have 2 locations in Florida, and one of them is at Disney Springs, and they have become a cult classic.
Yeah.
And that's why
very quickly,
super quick.
Yeah.
They just, and I think that's what happens when you have a place. You go to Disney Springs, is you have a place that's popular, and then you go to Disney Springs, and now you just explode because you have such a larger.
I don't know if that's the case for everybody.
Maybe not everybody.
I think it I don't think Sprinkles got any cooler because they have.
Well, I think Sprinkles already had a name, but like Everglazed Donuts, like they were a Florida-based donut company that's now in Disney Springs, and they're getting so much more attention, And I think that's what happened with Gideons is that they just got so much more attention because you have these vloggers and all these people now that are going to there. So we ran over to Gideons, and we just wanted to quickly talk about Gideons because it is one of our favorites. And if you don't know anything about them, they have half-pound cookies.
Yeah, like literally
giant half-pound cookies. They're massive. And the best thing about Gideons is that they change their stuff monthly.
Every month.
So every month they have a new menu, new items that come out. Like right now, August limited edition one is their key lime pie chocolate chip cookie.
Mm-hmm.
For me, what brings I love cookies, but what brings me to this place more than anybody is their addition of sea salt.
Yeah,
they're known for putting sea salt on top of their cookies, and it is just incredible. So we ran over to Gideon's after that to grab a couple cookies. I got my traditional chocolate chip. I don't remember.
I only did chocolate chip.
So we just did chocolate chip.
I'm not a cookie person, but I do love the Gideon's. Just their classic chocolate chip cookie is so good. I have tried the Oreo one as well, in times past, and there's something about that classic chocolate chip cookie with the sea salt crunch on top. It's so good. Eric was saying they do have monthly offerings, but they do also have their core favorite ones.
Correct.
So they have like a peanut butter. There's a classic chocolate. I think the Oreo's on the core.
Yeah, the cookies and cream is part of it.
Cookies and cream's on the core, and then they also sell giant cake slices. So they're known for their giant cake slices. So the cookies are $6 a piece. I think the cake slices are $9 or $10 a piece.
Yeah,
they're $9. But they're like a several layer thick cake slice. Like if you think of the movie Matilda, the big chocolate cake that the kid gets forced to eat, that's what I picture. It's like fudgy, soft, gooey, cakey goodness. So one slice could definitely feed like 3 people. It's not, don't eat it by yourself. Same thing with the cookies though. But we usually just each get one and then we save it and savor it through the rest of the trip. We bring it to the hotel and like kind of munch on them through the trip.
Yeah, and their cakes are incredible. And again, kind of like their cookie is that they have a special limited edition
yeah,
release.
there's like
they
one
do.
flavor every month.
They call it the Secret Slice.
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember right, I think the Secret Slice is one per customer, and it's only on Saturdays. It's a really weird like thing. Like you have to get it. But the reason that this is kind of one of our go-to dessert places too is that they have hot cookie hour twice a day. And if you go there, it's just for the chocolate chip cookie. But if you go there, I know it's between 2 and 3, and I think 6 and 7, I think. If you go there, you could order a hot cookie, and they give you a scoop of vanilla ice cream on top. Oh, my gosh. Let me just tell you. Like, and this is why, like, it's hard for us to go places for desserts because we have things like Gideon's that we just crave and we love. So... like Boathouse had a fantastic dessert.
It was
menu.
also like we were really stuffed, so we were like, let's give ourselves a minute.
Yeah, we did walk around for a little bit.
It's like a 2-second walk to Gideon's, but we walked around for a little while and then we went to Gideon's.
Yeah.
The third offering that they have at Gideon's is their cold brew coffee. They are all, I don't know if I want to say vegan, but they're all made with oat milk. I'm pretty sure they're vegan.
No,
I think they're all vegan.
I'm pretty sure all
which
of theirs
doesn't matter for us. Obviously, I just said I ate a steak, but I do love oat milk, so it's nice when somewhere just automatically offers you oat milk. So they're known for these cold brew coffees. I think the peanut butter one is the one that got them like their notoriety. It's like a peanut butter cold brew coffee.
The peanut butter cold brew, yeah, that was one of their big ones. And then I think there was.
They also do a seasonal offering. I remember last Christmas there was like a cinnamon or eggnog or something.
Their banana bread. That was another one.
Banana bread.
The pumpkin
cold brew coffee. Pumpkin cold brew coffee.
So this is Gideon's. This is Gideon's season right now. Is the fall Halloween because their whole decor of the place. By the way,
yes.
It's very gothic.
Yeah.
When you walk in there, I mean, it's dark. There's like, red lights and pink lights.
It's warm and like toasty. It kind of gives me, I don't know, like Hansel and Gretel, like the witch's house. It's kind of what I imagine the inside would be like. So the outside's like super cute. And then you go inside and it's just like, you feel like you're sitting in like a furnace. It's like warm.
I could totally
There's like hot air blowing. And there's all these like hand-drawn pictures of quote unquote Gideon and like all of these characters on the walls, and it looks like a library. It's dim lighting. There's like little fake fires all over the place. I don't know. It's very, very cool. Gothic is a great way to describe it. Very tall, high ceilings, but it's honestly, it's small. It's like
super tiny.
200 square feet. It is tiny, and you walk through this little line because you essentially wait in a virtual queue outside. Mm-hmm. You get in the virtual queue, and then when it's time for you to come, you're still going to stand in a line outside. And there's only like maybe 10 people inside at a time because it's very small. So you get to like really stare at the walls. It's very intricately designed. And then you get to go to the cookie case and the cake case, and they have all the coffees like listed on the wall. It's very, I mean, they did a great job considering the tiny space that they have.
And so to kind of wrap up a couple things about Gideon's, I do want to touch on what you just said about the virtual queue.
Yes.
The virtual queue, they do have one that starts typically around 11 a.m. And the reason for that is Morimoto's is next door, and the line will literally wrap around Morimoto's. So they do a virtual queue at 11 so they don't tie up the front of the building. So if you get there from opening to 11, there is no virtual queue. You jump in line, but typically you're waiting no more than 15, 20 minutes. Yeah. It's super quick. Mm-hmm. But the virtual queue, which is nice because if you're going to spend the day at Disney Springs, you just go in, give them your name. They'll text you when to come back, pop right in, get your stuff. You're in and out in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's not bad at all.
Also, I don't know if I would call this a tip or not, but it has worked for me now 3 times. Each time I've actually never been in the virtual queue. Each time I've just walked up and said like, oh, can I get on the virtual queue? And usually they go, oh, is it just you? And I say, yeah, it's just me. And then they let me go in the line. Yeah. And I wait like 5 minutes. Now, I don't know if that works for everybody, but it's literally worked for me 3 times in a row. So I just leave my husband and my kid. And I go and I stand and I'm just like, oh, I'm going to jump on there. And I usually, like, I'm literally going with the intention to jump in the virtual queue, but they're just like, it's just one of you. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I highly, like, the reason we wanted to talk about Gideon's was just because it is just such an amazing place to go to. And if you're a cookie lover, coffee lover, it's a great spot because you could just go in, grab your cookie, grab your coffee, and just walk around Disney Springs, just breaking off chunks of this half-pound cookie.
My one thing I will say, though, is if you go in the summer and you don't have intention to finish the cookie yourself, maybe wait till you're leaving the parks and
We
get like
learned
a
that the
box
hard
to
way.
go. Yeah, because we just got one cookie one of the times, and we were like, oh, we'll just, we literally each took a bite, and I wasn't feeling great, so we put it at the bottom of the stroller. 5 minutes later, Harlow asked for a bite, and it was just this melted chocolate, because the cookies have like tons of chocolate chips all around it. I don't know. So if you're not planning on eating the cookie in completion while you're there and it's hot, maybe just wait till the end, grab a box to go,
Absolutely.
and bring it back to the hotel.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
well, that's Gideon's, and that's the Boathouse.
Yeah.
Before we end this, I did forget to speak about one thing real quick at the Boathouse. Is the amphibicars. I just want to give this a quick caveat.
Mm-hmm.
Is the Boathouse is also known for their vintage amphibicars, which are these classic like Corvettes and Cadillacs that they drive on land, but they also go inside, and you could do tours around the water at Disney Springs. If you if you eat at the Boathouse, you do get a discount on those amphibicars, by the way, because they are $125 per car. They do fit about 3 to 4 people. Walk-up reservations are there, but you get, I think I said 25%. I meant $25. If you eat at the Boathouse, you do get $25 off of your amphibicar tour. So if that's something you guys want to do while you're there, that's another bonus to eat at the Boathouse, because you could eat there and use that $25 off, and 4 people can go ride for $100, which is great. $25 a person to go for a ride around the lagoon in an awesome car. I think that's a pretty decent price if you have 4 people.
It was fun to sit on the dock and watch those people go in and out too.
Because the launch is really cool. And again, that video that I have on the Boathouse on our Instagram reel, It has their launch on there, so you can see what it is. So I just wanted to point that out to you guys before we wrap this podcast up. But this has been fun. I love the Boathouse. So
clearly, we spent the majority of our time talking about the Boathouse.
Correct.
I literally just looked at Eric like a couple minutes ago. I was like, we have to wrap this up. We
Well,
just stopped talking
anyways,
about the Boathouse.
I know. Well, we want to thank you guys so much for tuning in, and join us next week for another episode. We are moving this to Tuesdays, by the way, but join us next week where we're going to be talking about Typhoon Lagoon and our experience there and everything that we did. So with that being said, tune in on Thursdays for Theme Park Thursday, and see us next week for Typhoon Lagoon.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.